So lesson 27, no, lesson 26 today is going to be solving multi-step equations. What we have done up to this point in the previous solving equations lesson in this unit was just two-step equations, right? Last unit we did one-step equations. This unit we're doing two-step equations, multi-step equations, and then the next layer is going to be multi-step equations with variables on both sides. All right, stuff that you've already done, but very important building blocks of algebra. All right, we're learning how to solve equations, and just about every equation, even really difficult ones, is going to, at the end up being a one-step equation. You've got to do one thing to solve it. And before that, there was two things you had to do to solve it. And before that, there were multiple things to solve it. So we started with the easy little bottom line single-step equations, multi-step equations, and then we'll get them more and more complicated as we move through. Okay, so all these skills are going to be important. The skills of using the distributive property, the skills of combining like terms, the skills of using inverse operations to get the variable by itself. Okay, so here's an example. Everyone write this down and give it a shot. Okay. Let's look at this first, right, real quick. I forgot I had this slide in here. Equations that are more complex, this kind of goes to what I was just talking about. More than two steps may be required. Step one, solving an equation, is always simplify both sides of the equal sign. What does simplify mean? Get rid of parentheses and combine like terms, right? And then the next step is that we would apply inverse operations to finish solving the equation or get the variable by itself. So step number one is always going to be to simplify both sides of the equal sign. All right, so here's an equation for you. Everybody writing, everybody working. 5x plus 8 minus 3x plus 2 equals 20. So what do we get?
5.
X equals 5. What's the first step here? What do we need to do first? Combine like terms that are on the same side, right? So until we get the sides cleaned up, we're going to combine these two terms, and that will give us 2x, and combine those two terms, and that gives us positive 10, 20. And now we have a two-step equation like the two problems in a bell work. So the next thing we would do is subtract 10 from both sides. Remember, I want to see process. 20 minus 10 is 10. Divide both sides by 2, you get x equals 5. Now, could we check this?
Yes.
How do you check equations? Plug 5 into your x values, and if we plug those in, we get 10 plus 8 minus 15 plus 2 equals 20. Yeah, 25, yes, plus 8 minus 15 plus 2 equals 20. So 25 plus 8 is 33. 33 minus 15 is 18, and 18 plus 2 is 20. So that does check. Now, do you have to check equations? When should you?
Always.
Especially if it counts, right? You need to be able to find your errors, know if you've made a mistake, correct your processes. So knowing if you got the correct answer is an important skill. All right, next example. Solve x plus 3 times the quantity 2x plus 4 equals 47.
That's great. We need to solve it.
Yeah, why don't we solve it?
Ooh, 47.
pretty easy, right? Okay. All right. You done, Teeter? What'd you get? 5? Is that what the last one was, isn't it? All right. Kylie, walk me through the process. What'd you do first?
I distributed 3 frequencies.
You distribute 3, and that gives you 6x plus 12 equals 47. Right? And now we're combining like terms that are on the same side. X plus 6x is 7x. 7x plus 12 equals 47. Then subtract 12 from both sides. Everybody, yep. Subtract 12 here. That gives us 7x equals 35. Divide both sides by 7. We get x equals 5. Now let me ask you this. How many of your processes look exactly like this? Yeah, it should. I want it to. It doesn't look that pretty? Well, not everybody can be as pretty as me.
Abby has very bad handwriting.
I have words, don't worry.
That was a little bit
Mine's
funny.
the best, guys.
Mine's the best.
All right. So, anyway, so I want y'all to kind of pay attention to the process, right? The process is repeatable. You create good reflexes, good habits, and you're going to make very few errors as long as you are repeating the process. Now, can you solve this mentally? You need to be careful. You'd have to sit and relax a long time and make sure and focus and redo some processes over and over. But most of you could probably get this mentally, figure it out. But you got to be careful with that. So use a good process that's repeatable, and you're going to make a whole lot less mistakes. Now, if we check it, we would get 5 plus 3 times 2 times 5 plus 4 equals 47. Then we just have to simplify on this side. 2 times 5 is 10 plus 4 is 14. 5 plus 3 times 14, that's 42. 5 plus 42 equals 47. So we're in good shape. Yes?
Can I please fix your board? It says practice number E, and it's driving me insane.
Oh, man. If you don't get help at Charter, get help somewhere. All right. Next example. Stop. Next example. 5x minus x minus 3 minus 1 equals 18. This one's going to be a little bit more challenging. I think somebody's going to miss this one.
I think I can do this, coach.
Okay.
Sean, stop.
Come on, Sean.
Abby, I did not.
All right. What'd you get, Monroe? X equals 4.
I got 5.
I got 4.
Okay. All right. So y'all listen. Shh.
Can you stop talking?
Y'all listen. So we do have some disagreement here. Where's the place where you're most likely to make a mistake in this problem?
It's the negative in front of it.
The negative in front of the parentheses has to distribute to the parentheses. So that negative sign is going to distribute to the x and to the negative 3. So to get rid of the parentheses, you have to distribute the negative. That's going to be minus x plus 3 minus 1 equals 18.
I knew it. It's 4.
So then we will 5x minus x is 4x. 3 minus 1 is positive 2 equals 18. Now we can subtract 2 from both sides. That gives us 4x equals 16, and divide by 4, you get x equals 4. Now, several of you missed that one, right? Because you fell into you fell for the trap, the trick. Recognize where the problem is in the equation. Where you're likely to make a mistake, you're really likely to forget that there's a negative sign hanging out there, and you're really likely to forget that that negative sign has to be distributed to that parentheses. Okay, so you got to be careful with that. All right, let's have a look at this one. Kylie, I can't see you back there. You're hiding from me.
It's because if I sit right here, I can see the whole board.
Oh, okay,
If I
good.
lean this way, then Cooper's head's in the way.
You're saying you're saying that Cooper has a large head?
Whoa!
Full of knowledge. No, I just feel so.
All right. Oh, Jim is building a right triangular flower bed. Now, why? Who builds triangular flower beds? One of the acute angles will measure twice the other acute angle. What are the measures of the two acute angles? Now, we're going to write an equation and solve. Okay? All right. What is the equation that you made, Hadley?
I did 2x plus x plus 90 equals 180.
180.
And you're using the very familiar triangle sum theorem to come up with that. You could also use another geometry principle that says the two acute angles of a right triangle always add up to be 90 degrees. Okay, so either way is good, but I want to see an equation. This is geometry. All of geometry is looking at a figure, determining what you're looking at, what are its properties, what are we allowed to do, how are you going to use what you know about the figure to solve the problem. What's the fact that we're using in this problem to solve it? What's the fact that we're using? That the angles of the triangle add up to be equal to 180 degrees, right? That's the fact that we're using. This is a triangle. What do we know about triangles?
3 sides.
They add up to be 180 all.
2x plus x is 3x. Subtract 90 from both sides. We get 3x equals 90. And then we get x equals 30. Is that the answer?
No.
Why is that not the answer?
Because one of them is measured.
Because they asked what are the measures of the two acute angles. And that's one of the things you also have to be very careful of in geometry, is that you answer the question that is being asked. Okay, x equals 30, if you put that on your test, is that the answer to this question? No, the two acute angles measure 30 degrees and 60 degrees. So there's our two answers, 30 degrees and 60 degrees. No. All right. Homework. Grab a textbook and get started on this, and I want you to stay quiet. Yes, Karis?